Good afternoon and welcome back. You're watching the Midday Report and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. And we start today's Midday with an update from Ukraine. Following the 4th anniversary of the full-scale invasion, at least 5 people have been killed and 18 others wounded in Russian attacks on Ukraine over the past day, local authorities reported Wednesday. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, Russia launched 115 drones overnight, targeting multiple regions including Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk and Sumy. In the central eastern Dnipro region, Russia also carried out an artillery attack, the report said. Meanwhile, Russia reported a Ukrainian strike on a factory in its western Smolensk region, killing 4 people and wounding 5. Speaking to reporters, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that Ukraine's delegation is set to meet with U.S. representatives on Thursday to discuss the prosperity package and the country's post-war reconstruction. The head of state also expressed his hope that next trilateral peace talks with Russia will take place as soon as March.
First of all, pipeline was...
Speaking to TVP World in an exclusive interview from Kyiv on the 4th anniversary of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Poland's Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski expressed confidence that the 90 billion euro EU loan package for Ukraine will be disbursed despite Hungary's veto threat. The statement only reaffirmed earlier remarks from Ursula von der Leyen delivered during the meeting of the Coalition of the Willing. Here's more.
Poland's Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski spoke in firm terms in Kyiv as European leaders moved to unlock new support for Ukraine. Speaking to TVP World, Sikorski expressed confidence that the 90 billion euro EU loan package for Ukraine will be disbursed despite Hungary's veto threat.
I have good news on that. We've just had a coalition of the willing meeting at which both President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, and the President of the Commission said that the decision had already been taken at the last European Council, at which the Prime Minister of Hungary had already agreed, so the money will be dispersed.
Hungary and neighboring Slovakia accuse Kyiv of deliberately blocking Russian oil supplies via the Druzhba pipeline, which Ukraine says it is trying to repair after a Russian strike last month. Tuesday marked 4 years since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Despite international diplomatic efforts and numerous summits, no lasting ceasefire has been reached. The Polish foreign minister emphasized that the issue at stake for Europe is not only military aid to Ukraine, it is about determining the future structure of European security.
We in Europe see the danger not just to Ukraine, not just to the eastern flank of NATO, but to all of the continent. If Putin were to conquer Ukraine, Russia would become a partner for the United States in the global distribution of power. And we think the European Union, with a much bigger economy and democracy and so on, should be America's main partner on this continent.
The Polish foreign minister also emphasized that a fair peace for Ukraine is needed, adding that such a peace would be with a Ukraine within defensible borders and in a position to integrate, at least economically, with the West.
And following that statement by Polish Foreign Minister, we now go live to Brussels, where Zuzanna Jurek went out in search of an answer to how the EU is going to make the 90 billion euro loan a reality without a unanimous vote. Good afternoon, Zuzanna. So, judging by what was said by Ursula von der Leyen and Polish Foreign Minister Sikorski, it seems to be the case that EU found a way to bypass the Hungarian veto. How was that possible? Tell us what you found.
Well, good afternoon, Claudia. From what we've heard speaking to sources across Brussels this morning, it's a question of a yes and a no. There really isn't a simple answer. We know that the EU is currently mulling other options for refinancing this loan, as that is where the point of contention really lies. That is that Hungary has blocked the amendment of the budget for the next 3 years, which would otherwise be used for refinancing of the loan for Ukraine. Now, what the EU can do now is use other mechanisms which have been used, for example, during 2008 financial crisis, where there was opposition from other individual member countries of the EU when it came to coming to a consensus and a unanimous decision. Now, the main question, however, is whether they are actually willing to do so. Now, we know that Hungary's elections, parliamentary elections, are coming up in 6 weeks' time, just 6 weeks, on April 12th, which means that soon enough the EU might see the current Prime Minister Viktor Orban, that has been the main point of contention with the EU's unanimous front, ousted out of the office, particularly as the TISA party, that is the opposition party, is currently leading in the polls and is much more, seemingly much more willing to cooperate with the EU now. So it's a question really whether the EU will be playing ball with Hungary and seeking to appease them on this occasion, or whether they will actually just be playing for time. Claudia.
Thank you so much. That was our defense correspondent Zuzanna Jurek reporting live from Brussels. Let's continue. A consensus has not yet been reached by Polish President Karol Nawrocki and the Polish government when it comes to signing a bill on the implementation of European Union's SAFE program in Poland. The head of state still seems skeptical about the initiative, as he raised some questions about SAFE at an annual briefing of the Polish Defense Ministry with top military officials in attendance. Ovidiusz Nicieja has more.
A high-level briefing of top officials in the Polish military took place on Wednesday at the Museum of the Polish Armed Forces in Warsaw. This is a meeting that focused on the future goals of the Polish military, and these goals, since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, have been pretty much constant. It means buying new equipment, modernizing the forces, and increasing the number of soldiers in the Polish military. The meeting also focused heavily on European Union's SAFE loan program. It's a financial instrument that aims to boost the defensive capabilities of European Union member states by year 2030. And the Polish government is set to obtain 44 billion euro from that program to invest in Polish defense. And the Polish government wants to spend most of that money at home buying Polish equipment. And it says that this is a great chance to not only boost Poland's defensive capabilities, but to also inject large sums of money into the Polish economy.
Today, the SAFE program offers the best opportunities for a smooth transformation of our armed forces. It offers a chance to, in a short time, strengthen our army, our society, and our alliances.
After the Polish parliament adopted a bill on the implementation of the SAFE program, that bill awaits the approval of the Polish president, who needs to sign it in order for this legislation to become law. And the Polish president still has several questions regarding that program, which he also raised here at the high-level briefing.
Experts have seemingly valid concerns about the 2030 timeline for the SAFE loan. This, in turn, raises obvious questions about whether it's actually possible to use these funds to meaningfully develop our arms industry in such a short time. Will it turn out that Polish defense companies will become mere intermediaries in our purchases from our partners? Or maybe the Polish branches of international arms manufacturers will be the true beneficiaries of this initiative?
Whether the president ends up signing that bill remains an open question, but the discussion about this SAFE loan program has shown that while there is agreement about the necessity to boost the Polish armed forces, there are some disagreements about how exactly to do it. From Warsaw for TVP World, Ovidiusz Nicieja.
Olympic medals and economic gains. During his State of the Union address on Tuesday, Donald Trump emphasized America's victories over the last year with pomp and splendor. But underneath what looked like a display of triumph loomed questions about the accuracy of President Trump's claims and the true state of the nation under the Trump administration.
People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore.
Donald Trump strove to make his State of the Union address on Tuesday all about winning. And to prove just how much the United States is winning, he brought in
the men's gold medal Olympic hockey team.
But the reality seems a bit more nuanced. For example, when referring to statistics surrounding the U.S. Armed Forces, Trump also said that
every service member recently received a warrior dividend of $1,776. You know, they put it on my desk. We got the money from tariffs and other things.
But news outlet NBC debunked the statement, saying the money for service members came from a supplemental housing fund. Trump's claim follows a Friday judgment in which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the president exceeded his authority in imposing tariffs on his trading partners.
One of the most notable things is that he tends to frame or characterize any loss as a win, or to deny any losses even existing. We saw this with the Supreme Court loss, which has been quickly characterized as a win. So he does, to some degree, exist in a bit of an alternate reality.
The longest State of the Union address in recent history focused largely on domestic policy. But as he tackled international affairs, Trump noted that NATO countries are, quote, friends and allies. While touting his advocacy in tackling various conflicts globally, the president said he is striving to end the war in Ukraine.
And we're working very hard to end the 9th war, the killing and slaughter between Russia and Ukraine, where 25,000 soldiers are dying each and every month. Think of that.
But unlike his predecessor Joe Biden in his 2024 State of the Union address,
I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin.
Trump steered clear from criticizing Moscow, even as Ukraine marked exactly 4 years since the Russian invasion on the very same day.
The situation as far as American support for Ukraine is vastly different than it was even a little over a year ago. The truth of the matter is that the current administration under President Trump is more aligned with the Kremlin than it is with Kyiv.
I think he expects Ukraine to essentially, in order to stop the fighting and to stop the dying, to essentially give up and concede and give the Russians what they want in order to reach peace. So that, of course, is completely opposed to what the European position has been.
With respect to other international affairs, Trump also tackled Iran on Tuesday, saying he would never allow it to have a nuclear weapon. Washington and Tehran are to discuss this further on Thursday in Geneva, with the U.S. president indicating that Iran allegedly wants to make a deal, but has to date fallen short of vowing never to have a nuclear weapon.
The Czech Republic has a new best friend, according to a new poll, Poland. Over 80% of Czechs view their neighbors as an ally, putting them ahead of Germany and even Slovakia, the Czechs' brotherly nation from the days of Czechoslovakia. However, as our correspondent Andrew Sweeney tells us, it's not surprising that Poland has polled first.
The days that Czechs would have looked askance at their Polish neighbours as being a little bit too backward, a little bit too eastern, are long over. The Czech Republic is very Poland-friendly. 81% of respondents here believe that it is the best ally for the Czech Republic. That's according to the Centre for Public Opinion Research. Now, the reasons why are manifold, but they particularly come down to the economy, as Poland's strong economic performance over the last 2 decades is seen as an example for the Czech Republic to follow, both in terms of output and in quality of life. But it's also Poland's role as a bulwark against Russian aggression that has seen the Czechs become so enamoured of the country. The Czech Republic knows that Poland stands between it and Moscow's imperialist ambitions, as seen in the war in Ukraine, and Czechs know that Poland will play a decisive role in protecting them from those ambitions. What's particularly interesting about this study to me, though, is not just the fact that Poland scored so highly, but it's Slovakia, the traditional brotherly nation of the Czech Republic, scored so low, only 59%. That's behind Germany, France and the Baltic states. The reasons why, again, are several, particularly perhaps because of different social values. Slovakia is a little bit more socially conservative in the Czech Republic, but it might also express frustration at the policies of Robert Fico in Bratislava, who is seen as quite pro-Russian. The same goes for Hungary, which only scored about 25% of positive responses, and the least liked country, well, that was Russia. Only 4% of Czechs had anything positive to say about Moscow. For TVP World in Prague, Andrew Sweeney.
Radosław Sikorski, the skeleton racer and Ukrainian flag bearer at the 2026 Winter Olympics, is now back home in Kyiv following his controversial disqualification from the Games. TVP World's Alex Kadej spoke to him about his reflections on being banned and his thoughts on the International Olympic Committee. Jonathan Carter has this report.
Władysław Sikorski insisted on competing with a helmet featuring images of 24 Ukrainian athletes who died in Russia's war in Ukraine. The International Olympic Committee said the helmet contravened their rules, as they interpreted it as political messaging.
It's important to keep it in mind that Olympic IOC leadership is not Olympic movement. IOC leadership today betray their values, they betray Olympic values, they betray us, they betray me personally. They stole my dream, they discriminate Ukrainians during these Olympic Games. They now play alongside and they distribute Russian propaganda on their arenas. And this is terrible. No questions regarding that. but don't give up on the Olympic movement. Olympic movement is a great thing, and Olympic values is important.
The 27-year-old was asked about the helmet's representation and the IOC's accusation of political messaging.
Its main goal from the beginning, from the first interview, it was really clearly that I want to honor my fellow athletes. Obviously, it's nothing political here. It's no even Ukrainian flag here. It's no national symbols here, and everything what connects these people on these photos and these drawings. It's sport, and for me it was really strange that Olympic family doesn't want to honor Olympic athletes who were part of Olympic Games.
Heraskevich said that despite being in the best shape of his life, he has no regrets about not competing at the Games because he feels he did the right thing.
And so this would be all the latest news for now. Thank you for joining me. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska. And please join us at 4 p.m. CET for World News with Paweł Trzaskowski. We'll see you there.